there are some really good aspects of technology, which is that I can come to you from Buffalo, where I just left this amazing early childhood center, and we're about to go to a community event where labor and faith and others are making sure that the Buffalo victims of that massacre are not forgotten. We need to lift up the victims of this senseless violence. And one of the things we're trying to do as teachers is to basically say there's common sense gun reform that can save people's lives. And let's do that as America. The other countries in the world that have had these terrible massacres, they've taken the steps to save people's lives. We need to do the same thing in America in the name of the children and the teachers in Uvalde, in the name of the Black grocery shoppers in Buffalo, in the name of that tragedy in Tulsa of those doctors and medical staff.
So, Randy, let's talk about moving forward, making a difference, making change, because there's so many things that we can talk about here with regard to protecting our schools, our kids, our teachers. Specifically, why are you targeting Senators Cruz and Toomey this week? And did you get any indication that what you've already put out there, the changes you want to see, the legislation you want to see, that your message was received?
Well, what we're doing in a very respectful way as teachers are trying to do. We're trying to make a difference in the lives of others. So what we are trying to do this week while the Senate is on recess is to actually talk to senators who have been resistant to common sense gun violence prevention, common sense gun safety. We're not talking about taking guns away from hunters. That's not who we are. We are talking about how you save lives. So we thought going to Senator Toomey's office, going to Senator Cruz's office tomorrow, if the weather allows me, I'll be with our Florida colleagues going to Senator Rubio's office. We're going to Senator Manchin and Senator Capito's office. We're going to Senator Portman's office. We're trying to talk to them about doing the things that 70, 80, 90% of Americans want to try and save lives. And unfortunately, what Cruz did is he was snarky. But what Portman has done and what Toomey has done is we know that they are involved in the conversations with Senator Murphy and others to try to find a solution. And we are rooting for Republican and Democratic senators to take the common ground that America has and to propel it into action.
So what is that first line of action you want to see specifically? When you go into the door and you sit down with these senators, what's the one thing you want to... Yeah, I know you're...
We try to sit down when they...
Well, you usually make things happen watching your track record, Randy. But, okay, if you get in the door, if you can sit down, what is the first thing you just want to try and encourage them to find common ground on and to push through?
That they should be more focused on the need of constituents and to save human life. Kids, doctors, grocery store goers.
So is that access to guns? Is that specific gun laws?
Well, it is. It's about 5 or 6 different things. The things that I want, this Congress is never going to do. I want them to do a ban against assault weapons. I want them to do a ban against, the having 300 bullets that you can shoot at the same time. But the things that I think they can do, that they can get an agreement on, background checks, so that these 18-year-olds, we now have a profile of who is doing these shootings. These 18-year-olds, why can't you increase the age before you get a gun to 21 like we have in handguns? Background checks, red flag laws. There's a group of things that could save lives. Do those things.
Just finally, before I let you go, it can be as simple as yes or no. As you know, Texas lawmakers, some have voiced support for arming teachers in the classroom. Are you for that?
No. I mean, and the reason is, think about what they've said. They want more guns in schools. Look what happened in terms of Uvalde. It was the shooter that created this, but even all those police officers were reluctant to go in when somebody had an AR-15. What is a teacher going to do when she is trying to shield her kids? Let's do real solutions.
Randi Weingarten, so glad you called in. Good luck on your tour today. You let us know if you get in those doors of those senators, all right?
Thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate it.